Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson Football Channel. It is match day today. Chelsea are travelling to Vicarage Road away at Watford in the Premier League. We've got a match preview going out later. As I told you, I'm going to be posting a load of content this month. There's so many games. News is starting to build up left, right and centre about Chelsea player contracts, about potential signings, January business and everything else. So this is your Chelsea news video for the day. Check back on GBFC, subscribe, turn on bell notifications so that it will send you a little ping to your phone when the match preview goes out in a few hours time. In today's video, we're going to be talking about Ronald Araujo. Araujo is Uruguayan, 22 years old, Barcelona centre-back. Chelsea want him. We're going to be talking a potential swap deal between Christian Pulisic and Barcelona's Frenkie De Jong, which is being reported. We're going to talk fresh bids for Mattijs De Ligt, and we're also going to discuss Thomas Tuchel's comments regarding Andreas Christensen and how Thomas Tuchel has kind of just dropped the gauntlet on Andreas Christensen for a very specific reason that we're going to detail in today's Chelsea news video. But we begin with story number one, and for me this one is kind of the one I've already spoken about before that I don't want to address too much time on again. But Chelsea are reportedly preparing themselves a fresh bid of over £80 million to sign Matthias De Ligt. And again, when we look at the information regarding Rudiger's contract, which you guys know I've addressed this one more than I would have liked to here on GBFC, because there's not really any updates on any of the players apart from Andreas Christensen, and we'll get into what Thomas Tuchel has done to Andreas Christensen and why a little bit later on in this video. Matthias De Ligt would be seen as a replacement for Tony Rudiger if Rudiger is to not sign a new Chelsea contract. Still, the update with that is there's still a little bit of a gap between Rudiger's demands, what Chelsea are willing to offer. Rudiger's 28 years old, Matthias De Ligt is 22, and despite not having the most, let's say, perfect career so far at Juventus, even against Chelsea the other week, he wasn't exactly brilliant. He is still a defender where the word potential does come into the conversation. He's still very young. He's capped in the Netherlands already, which is a pretty huge feat for somebody so young. And I think Chelsea will definitely be looking and will be rumoured to be interested in making bids, making offers for centre-backs from January. Matthias De Ligt is one of the hottest prospects still in European football. Juventus have got a few issues. Maybe they will need to sell players next year in order to rebuild, and Matthias De Ligt is one that they could still sell for a lot of money, and also it would give them good cash to actually reinvest in building that squad again. So then we move into story number two, and it is regarding Chelsea and Barcelona once again having these little talks about Barcelona outlining what they want, what they're willing to offer, because they're interested in Christian Pulisic. Chelsea have reportedly said that they would want 50 million euros for Christian Pulisic, which is the first real talking point for me here today, because I think Christian Pulisic, despite the injury record that he's had, despite the fact that even though since he started at Chelsea, those injuries have never really gone away, there's never been a sustained period apart from that blistering period when we all got football back after COVID, where Christian Pulisic was absolutely on fire for more than 2 or 3 games without picking up an injury. Christian Pulisic is a player who is incredibly, immensely talented. And I do feel as though if he can stay fit now during this busy Christmas period for Chelsea, then Chelsea won't even be considering selling him. There are a lot of clubs right now that look at a player like Christian Pulisic and think, well, in terms of what Chelsea might be willing to sell him for, which a reported fee of 50 million euros is not very high when we think about that potential ceiling of just how good Christian Pulisic could be. Barcelona, they're a club that can't really afford to spend too much money. Frenkie De Jong is a player that they bought a couple of years ago for a big fee from Ajax when that Ajax team that was so good in the 2019 Champions League, there was an exodus of players after that, and, you know, it's expected because Ajax are a club who they're ran incredibly well. They're very well liked by the majority of everybody in European football for the way that they try and play football. And they've been able to build, or they were able to build, that wonderful team. And Frenkie De Jong was seen as a perfect player for Barcelona to try and get in an attempt to try and replace the brilliance of Xavi, Iniesta. And since he's been at Barcelona, it's not gone as well as they would have liked. They haven't seen the same kind of form that would have been seen from Frenkie De Jong at Ajax. And I feel as though it's a very common theme. I can think of 3 players off the top of my head immediately. Donny van der Beek, not worked out at Manchester United. Hakim Ziyech, one of those players at Chelsea who you expected more from. You thought we could see that form every single week. Hasn't happened. Frenkie De Jong at Barcelona, it's the same thing. When you take players like that out of a system that has worked so well at Ajax, and it is so insanely well drilled from literally everything at the club is to play this way, and they managed to do it so well. For these players to move to other big clubs and expect to have that same kind of consistency over and over again is very, very difficult. Not to say that I don't think Frenkie De Jong is a fantastic player. I think he is a very good player. And I don't think necessarily we'd have to worry about injuries the same way we do with Christian Pulisic. However, I do not want to see Christian Pulisic be sold by Chelsea unless the injuries keep on going from this point out. I said it yesterday in my video with Jan. There are some players that at this part of the season, when it's Christmas time, the patience that we have to never really want to see anybody leave Chelsea. We want everyone to succeed and to be as big of a part of the squad and what we're doing match by match as we can. Christian Pulisic, I've said it in Alex Goldberg's podcast on the Byline. I said that if these injuries keep on going, then Chelsea will have to sell him in order to cash in on that potential word that we still have as a massive buzzword with Christian Pulisic. I hope it doesn't happen. Frenkie De Jong, decent player, but I don't want to see Pulisic go anywhere. And I think 50 million euros could potentially be a massive steal for the quality of player that we have on our hands. We move into talking about Andreas Christensen. Now, yesterday in Thomas Tuchel's press conference, I watched it and he was asked about Christensen and he said that there is no good news regarding Andreas Christensen. He was also probably referring to Tony Rudiger as well. And there's a reason why in today's video we're talking about Chelsea being linked with 2 centre-backs. We've talked about Rudiger not signing. We're also talking about Christensen not signing as well. But the interesting thing with this is that Thomas Tuchel confirmed the reason why Andreas Christensen has not featured in the last 3 Chelsea games. The reason for that is Thomas Tuchel is kind of trying to see what the issue is regarding Christensen not signing this deal. As far as Thomas Tuchel was concerned, Tuchel wanted him to sign, Christensen wanted to sign, and Chelsea have offered him a decent contract. So that is all 3 parties that wanted to sign this deal to get it as one of the burdens that Chelsea have off of their back. We don't need to worry about it. We can look at 25-year-old Andreas Christensen as a player that we can build this defence around for the future. Now, it hasn't been signed. And what Thomas Tuchel has done is he's dropped him in the hope that it gets him to sign. It's almost saying like, you got a new girlfriend. She tells you that she loves you. And you say, well, I'm not too sure about that. So you ask her to move in with you. And then she's like,
no, I don't really want to be honest. But you're in love with me. You're madly in love with me. You want this to work. You want to get
married, but you don't want to live in me wee house.
It's a little bit like that at this moment in time. Thomas Tuchel's dropped him as if to say, well, if everybody here is good, who's the problem here? Is it you that doesn't want to sign it? Is it your representatives that are demanding too much money? In which case, you're no longer playing for Chelsea, a team where you're a European champion, where you were becoming a regular in the first team. Now you're not. So if it is up to the demands of the representative, but he wants to play, then it's up to Christensen to be like, I want to sign this deal. I want to commit my future to Chelsea Football Club. And I think I like this, to be honest, because it isn't as though we're neglecting the quality that we have in the back line by not picking Andreas Christensen. But it's also important, and I think it does resemble the fact that Chelsea are looking to build something for a decent period of time under Thomas Tuchel. I know it's very hard to say at any given moment that Chelsea are building something with longevity for the future after the history of how we get rid of managers as soon as a bad run of form comes in. But I like this from Thomas Tuchel. I think it's hard. I think it is, again, at that point where we have got so many games coming up and he's trying to force Christensen to make that decision in December before we start having a lot of cloudiness around the players' minds in January, where Christensen and Rudiger and Aspi will be able to talk to other teams. So Christensen is probably the more likely to sign a new deal because Rudiger's demands and what Chelsea are offering are too far apart. So I think this approach from Thomas Tuchel makes a lot of sense. Hopefully now you understand what is going on with the Christensen deal. And the final story of the day is that Chelsea are interested alongside Liverpool in Barcelona Uruguayan 22-year-old centre-back Ronald Araujo. I hope I said that one correctly. He's a player whose contract will expire in June of 2003, and Barcelona are looking to offer him a new 5-year deal. The offer isn't up to the standards as to what Araujo would like. Premier League clubs such as Chelsea, Liverpool, it's sparking their interest. He's a very good 22-year-old centre-back, and he could be a very good option. And a move to the Premier League would certainly be something that he would consider, as the Premier League is now the place that can offer the best wages in the world. So I think it is a recurring theme that we see Barcelona linked with Chelsea players who might not be fully in favour. But I also think it will be a recurring theme that big clubs like Chelsea, United, Arsenal, Liverpool, Manchester City, not going to mention anyone else, don't think they deserve it, they're going to start being linked with more of your Barcelona players, your Real Madrid players, because the money right now is in the Premier League. The quality is in the Premier League, and these Barcelona's, Real Madrids, they might not be able to financially compete with the Premier League for quite some time as they try to rebalance everything that's gone wrong over the past few years. So, Ronald Araujo, I don't know too much about him at this point. Young, very, very promising, came up through Barcelona Bs. Chelsea and Liverpool are reportedly interested. But anyway, busy day today. Got the first GBFC Advent Shorts video going out at 12. Match preview in a few hours as well. And then 6 things we learned. December is on fire, and I'm hoping the channel is going to be on fire to entertain each and every one of you every single day as well. Thank you guys for watching. Come on, you Blues. See you later.